there, I'm Liam Steen, and this is my Humanities 101 presentation on a simplified whiteboard summary of the Iliad. The Iliad is what is considered an epic poem. Epic poems were long stories that were told orally throughout many years. This one was written down in the year 800 BC by a man named Homer. The Iliad is a story of about the last weeks of the Trojan War. The Trojan War was a 10-year period around 1250 BC. The Iliad is about right here on the timeline. The Trojan War started for the jealousy and love of a princess of Troy. During the midst of the Trojan War, the Trojan king Agamemnon kidnapped a man named Briseis. Briseis, however, was the best friend of the greatest warrior to exist at the time, Achilles. Now Achilles, hearing that his best friend was taken, decided that he was not going to finish the war and that he would just quit halfway through. So during his whining, Achilles prays to his mother, who is a goddess at Olympus, if she could ask Zeus to destroy the Trojans. She says yes, and so later she asks Zeus, can you destroy the Trojans? Zeus says yes. Meanwhile, on the front lines, Prince Paris demands to the other Greek leader that they must stop fighting and duel each other so that way they can prevent further bloodshed and stop the war. The Greek leader agrees, and as they start to duel, a Greek soldier fires an arrow and is tricked to shoot one of the opposing members. This causes mass chaos and the war gets even worse. Since the war was getting out of control, the Trojans brought out their secret weapon, a man named Hector. Hector was known for being a brave and kind man for the people of Troy. So as he set off to go fight the war, he said goodbye to his family, never knowing if he'd see them again. As Hector kept leading the Trojans to countless victories, the Greeks were struggling to fight without their hero Achilles. Enraged by Achilles' best friend, Patroclus, or Pat for short, offered to take Achilles' armor to fight in his place. Achilles said yes, and gave Pat his armor. So when Pat goes to battle, he is faced with Hector, and from Hector's perspective, it looks like Achilles finally joined the fight, so Hector kills him immediately, not knowing that it was Pat. As a messenger brought forth the news that Achilles' best friend Pat had died, he got up from his palace and went to fight against the Trojans. Enraged by his friend's death, Achilles goes on to slay waves upon waves of Trojans, eventually reaching the Trojan gates. As Achilles finally reached the gates of Troy, he set his eyes on Hector, the one who killed Pat. Hector, however, was not expecting Achilles and started to run away. Achilles and Hector prolonged this chase 4 times around the gates of Troy. After a long chase with Achilles and Hector, Hector finally decided to turn around and face Achilles head on. Though the fight was epic and long, Hector eventually died, to Achilles stabbing him in a weak spot in his own armor. But Achilles wasn't done there. After he killed Hector, he tied him up to his chariot and rode around the walls of Troy for all the people to see their dead hero. That night, Hector's dad went down to the war camps to go and try to receive his son's body. Inside the tent, he asked Achilles if he could have his son's body for their funeral. Achilles agreed and let them go without killing them. After several days of preparation, the people of Troy finally had their funeral for their loved hero, Hector. And that's the story of the Iliad. Hector had his peaceful funeral, and Achilles got his revenge. I think we can learn a lot of things from this story as a whole, like bravery. Hector stepped up as a leader and was brave in a tough situation. He led his people to victory in several battles and brought hope to his nation. I think it's also important that we remember what we have as a duty as a people. If Achilles would have just followed his duty, then maybe his friend would have never died, and they would have never gotten themselves in the bloodshed. Thank you for taking your time to listen to my presentation and my version of the Iliad.